Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about the lawsuit by NPR, National Public Radio, against the administration for the order by Donald Trump to basically defund it completely. The order was actually issued May 1st, and so they've waited several weeks, which everyone was following, wondering when it would actually occur. It has now. Yesterday, the lawyer is a notable person in and of himself. It's Miguel Estrada. He was a conservative lawyer nominated to be on the D.C. circuit by George W. Bush, and he was never able to get a vote and eventually had to withdraw his name. He's also a very well-regarded appellate lawyer at Gibson, Dunn and Crutcher, and I can say I clerked with him, overlapped at the same time for Justice Kennedy. He's a really top-notch First Amendment lawyer and a noted conservative. All right, so the order that Trump entered on May 1st basically directs federal agencies to withhold all funding from NPR. This is a kind of stratagem he's tried before. And of course, the immediate issue is that Congress allocates money. Congress has allocated money here. Congress also has passed the organic statute for NPR, and it contains all kinds of safeguards against mucking around and trying to influence the content by the administration. In other words, exactly what happened here. So we have a 44-page complaint that just dropped, but the basic challenge there are a few. First and foremost, they're saying this is viewpoint discrimination. Obviously, Trump doesn't like, and in fact, Trump's comments when he entered the order are all about how woke NPR is and how liberal it is, etc. Now, NPR counters that it's actually non-partisan, but that's really not the point. The point is that whatever they are saying, Trump's objection to it constitutes discrimination on the basis of its speech. That is verboten. You have in the second paragraph of the complaint, if there's a very famous quote, if there's any fixed star in our constitutional constellation, it is that no official, high or petty, can prescribe what shall be orthodox in matters of public opinion. So first and foremost, that it's a sort of straightforward violation of the First Amendment. And then second, there are a couple claims having to do with this being Congress's business and not Trump's. So the Public Broadcasting Act dates to 1967, and there are all these provisions there, especially providing for political insulation that they've just completely trashed. And moreover, there's a big pot of money. I think it's about $500 million that's been allocated to NPR that he purports to cancel in the same way as, has been a problem in many others where we've got appropriated money. It's the executive's job is to follow Congress's direction, not to counterman Congress's direction. So that also is it's gonna be, and this might have something to do with the delay to see how other cases were sizing up, but it's going to be a real test of that principle as well. Can the executive just ignore and do what it wants to do? So we're talking separation of powers, straight out kind of ultra vires. This is not in the job description of the executive. And then really straightforward viewpoint discrimination. And as elsewhere, Trump himself is one of the most helpful providers of evidence for the plaintiffs because all the things he said are front and center in the complaint, will be front and center in the lawsuit. And make it very clear, they don't like the viewpoint of NPR. That is not a justification. All right. There's also a whole historical recitation. You've been doing this forever, since 1967. There are really good public policy reasons. Here's the way NPR serves the public interest, and it aims to. But that is essentially atmospheric in what is a straightforward First Amendment reprisal to First Amendment. We've talked about this before. You can't discriminate on the basis of viewpoint. We talked about this with Harvard, and you can't actually, even more so, take revenge or penalize someone because of viewpoint consideration. And then Congress's job, not the administration, separation of powers, and things that really are all derived from that principle. So the two core principles here: weeding in Congress's garden and discriminating on the basis of viewpoint or even reprisals on the basis. Those are pretty strong principles, and they seem to me to apply down the middle here. So now we have the familiar kind of process where they have requested immediate relief from the court, saying, freeze the order and keep the money flowing. And do that now, and then we'll move into consideration of the merits. And so that'll be the whole thing. Will the administration, assuming it loses, and I think it will, I think preliminary relief will be granted here. This is one way in which the delay is a little bit tricky. They're claiming irreparable harm, but they haven't done anything about it since the beginning of the month. On the other hand, a point worth making, as it turns out, federal funding, if they pulled the plug, it would be really a very big body blow for a number of reasons, but not necessarily or even principally because of the cash, which turns out to be a fairly small part of at least national NPR's operating budget. But anyway, they'll seek preliminary relief, and then will the administration, if preliminary relief is granted, as I expected, will somehow try to gin up some argument about emergency, doing this is irreparable injury to us, etc. Very hard to see what they could say, but it's been hard to see in the past, and that hasn't deterred them. Okay, so NPR in the game. Miguel Estrada, very prominent lawyer with very strong conservative bona fides. Two basic arguments: separation of powers, weeding in Congress's garden, violation of the First Amendment. And we will now be starting out with the whole give us, stay there, the operation of the order while we litigate this in front of you. So there you have it. We've seen the drill before, but the applied to NPR seems especially about content discrimination. And for that reason, it strikes me as quite a strong case. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.